You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your educational journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. The purpose of this episode is to prepare you for the experience of test day itself. By the time you arrive at the exam center, the bulk of your work is behind you. What matters then is executing calmly, managing logistics smoothly, and protecting the mindset you have cultivated. Uncertainty about small details, what to bring, how to check in, what breaks look like, can sap energy that should be reserved for reasoning through questions. Likewise, anxiety can cause rushed reading, missed qualifiers, or second-guessing. By clarifying expectations in advance and rehearsing practical strategies, you create conditions for focus. Exam day then becomes less about surprises and more about executing a plan you already trust. This approach not only improves performance, but also frames the entire experience as a professional milestone, one you are ready to meet with confidence. The exam day timeline should be planned backward from check-in to ensure a calm arrival. Begin by confirming your scheduled time, then subtract the check-in duration, travel time, and potential delays. Add buffers for traffic, weather, or transit disruptions. This backward planning ensures you leave home with ample cushion, reducing the risk of rushing or arriving stressed. Even if you arrive early, the extra time can be used for quiet review or simply settling into the environment. The mindset here is control, removing uncertainty about when and how you will get to the center. A calm arrival primes focus, while a rushed arrival can sabotage even the best preparation. Think of it as a deployment operation. Logistics are as critical as the mission itself. Documentation requirements are straightforward but non-negotiable. You must present valid government-issued identification that matches your registration record exactly. Mismatches in name format, expired IDs, or missing secondary documents can derail the entire exam attempt. Checking requirements a few days in advance allows time to resolve issues. Treat this like compliance auditing. Documentation must be correct, current, and complete. Preparing it early reduces test day stress and signals professionalism. The ID check is not merely bureaucracy. It is a safeguard ensuring integrity for all candidates. Seeing it this way reframes it as part of the process rather than an obstacle. Travel planning deserves equal care. Whether driving, using public transit, or arranging rides, confirm details ahead of time. Know the route, expected traffic patterns, and alternate options. Plan for contingencies like construction or weather delays. Arriving frazzled after a stressful commute undermines composure. By contrast, arriving with time to spare lets you settle, breathe, and focus. Just as in cloud security, where redundancy protects availability, redundancy in travel planning protects your readiness. Consider this logistical layer part of your professional discipline, ensuring that external factors do not compromise performance on a day you have worked hard to reach. Nutrition and hydration are often overlooked, but directly influence energy and focus. The goal is steady fuel, not sudden spikes or dips. A balanced meal before the exam, light protein, complex carbohydrates, and water provides endurance without discomfort. Avoid excessive caffeine, heavy foods, or new items that could cause distraction. Hydration should be managed so you are comfortable but not disrupted by frequent breaks. Think of it as fueling for a long operation. Sustained clarity requires thoughtful preparation. A simple, predictable routine for food and drink supports the calm, steady mindset that exam performance demands. Sleep preparation begins several days before the exam, not just the night before. Aligning your circadian rhythm by going to bed and waking up at consistent times reduces the chance of restlessness on the eve of the test. If your exam is scheduled early, adjust your sleep routine gradually to ensure you are alert at that time. Poor sleep directly impacts memory retrieval and concentration, which are vital for reasoning under pressure. Treat rest as part of your preparation strategy, not as an afterthought. In security operations, readiness depends on alert personnel. Exam day is no different. Sleep is the quiet investment that pays dividends in clarity and stamina. Comfortable attire is another practical but meaningful consideration. Test centers vary in temperature, and sitting for long periods can strain attention if you are distracted by discomfort. Choose layered clothing that allows adjustment and shoes that remain comfortable even after hours of sitting. Avoid restrictive or distracting garments. Attire should be chosen not for appearance but for endurance. In this way, it becomes another piece of your preparation, removing friction so that focus remains on content, not comfort. Just as security architecture benefits from eliminating points of failure, so too does exam readiness benefit from eliminating small distractions. Awareness of personal items policy is essential. Test centers typically provide lockers for belongings, and items such as phones, watches, and notes are prohibited in the testing room. Familiarize yourself with these rules to avoid surprises. Plan ahead so you bring only what you need: identification, keys, and permitted basics. Arriving with unnecessary items only complicates check-in. Viewing this through a security lens helps. Restricting personal items reduces risks of compromise, ensuring the integrity of the exam. Accepting and preparing for this policy supports a smoother start to the day. The check-in process formalizes these requirements. After presenting identification, you will be asked to sign agreements, have your photo taken, and sometimes undergo biometric scans. Proctors will review rules and may inspect that all personal items are secured. This procedure may feel formal, but it serves the purpose of fairness and consistency. Anticipating each step makes the process familiar rather than stressful. Once complete, you are escorted to your workstation, ready to begin. This transition is your moment to shift mindset. Logistics are complete, focus now shifts to performance. Before the timed section begins, the interface tutorial appears on screen. This brief walkthrough introduces navigation, flagging tools, and any digital aids. Taking a few minutes to use it is worthwhile, even if the system feels intuitive. It prevents mistakes later and reinforces confidence that you know how to move through the exam. The tutorial is not scored, so treat it as a rehearsal. In cloud terms, it is like testing controls in a sandbox before going live. Familiarity with tools means one less source of distraction when the clock starts. Break policies vary but usually specify what you can do, where you can go, and whether the exam clock continues running. Understanding these rules ahead of time allows you to plan if and when breaks will be taken. For example, you may decide to pause after a certain number of questions, using the moment to reset focus. The key is that breaks are strategic, not impulsive. Knowing how the clock behaves prevents unpleasant surprises. This awareness ensures you manage both energy and time wisely, balancing stamina with the relentless forward movement of the exam clock. Pacing targets help distribute your time across the entire exam. A simple strategy is to divide total time by the number of items, yielding an average per item budget. This prevents you from investing too heavily in early questions and running short later. Practicing with this budget in advance builds an intuitive sense of when to move on. On test day, it provides structure and reduces anxiety about time. Pacing is not about rushing, it is about steady rhythm. Just as marathon runners monitor splits, exam candidates monitor pace, ensuring endurance through the full duration. Navigation and flagging strategies make pacing more effective. If a question feels unclear or time-intensive, flag it and move on. This prevents bottlenecks and protects progress. At the end, you return to flagged items with fresh eyes and remaining time. This strategy turns uncertainty into a manageable cue rather than a stumbling block. Practicing navigation in advance builds comfort with this rhythm, ensuring smooth execution under pressure. It reinforces the principle that you control the flow, not the questions. Anxiety regulation techniques are vital tools for exam performance. Controlled breathing, slow inhale, steady hold, gradual exhale reduces physiological stress. Neutral self-talk phrases like "one question at a time" or "I've prepared for this" counters spiraling doubt. These small techniques can be rehearsed in practice so they feel natural on exam day. Anxiety cannot be eliminated, but it can be managed and redirected into focus. Just as security teams rehearse incident responses, you rehearse mental responses, ensuring that nerves fuel alertness rather than chaos. Finally, technical issues, though rare, do occur. Knowing the escalation protocol prevents panic. If your workstation freezes or the interface malfunctions, raise your hand to alert the proctor immediately. Do not attempt to resolve issues yourself. Documenting the incident ensures fairness in scoring and, if necessary, rescheduling. This awareness provides reassurance. Even if something goes wrong, procedures exist to protect your attempt. With this safety net, you can concentrate fully on the task, knowing contingencies are covered. Ethical expectations from ISC 2 frame the entire experience. Candidates agree to uphold honesty, integrity, and fairness before, during, and after the exam. Sharing exam content, seeking unauthorized aids, or violating policies compromises not only your credential, but also the trust of the entire profession. Remembering that certification represents more than knowledge, it represents ethical commitment, can help you see exam day as not just a test of memory but a test of professionalism. Holding this perspective strengthens composure, framing the experience as both a personal milestone and a professional responsibility. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Reading discipline remains as important on test day as it was in practice. The question stem contains the core of what you are being asked, and reading it carefully before glancing at the answer options protects you from distraction. Many errors arise when candidates see a familiar keyword in an option and select it prematurely without confirming that it addresses the actual question. By disciplining yourself to pause and fully process the stem, you anchor reasoning to the problem, not the temptation of plausible answers. This approach slows you slightly in the moment but saves time overall by preventing careless mistakes. It ensures that each decision is grounded in comprehension, not guesswork. Qualifiers and scope cues within stems demand particular attention. Words such as most, best, first, and except shift the reasoning required and often determine the correct choice. Scope cues like initial response or final remediation likewise narrow the focus. Missing these small words can lead you toward an answer that is correct in some contexts, but not the one required. Practicing qualifier detection in advance makes it automatic on exam day, but reinforcing it during the test is essential. Think of qualifiers as directional signs on a road, subtle but decisive. By consciously scanning for them, you protect accuracy and align with the exam's intended logic. Shared responsibility reasoning provides a reliable compass for many CCSP questions. When options assign duties, you must discern whether they belong to the cloud provider, the consumer, or both. This separation is foundational to cloud security, and exam writers use it repeatedly to test comprehension. If an option shifts a customer responsibility onto the provider, or vice versa, it is likely a distractor. By rehearsing shared responsibility reasoning, you can cut through ambiguity and align answers with professional reality. This technique not only supports exam performance, but also mirrors real-world clarity about roles and obligations in cloud environments. Distractor pattern recognition is another protective strategy. Distractors often take the form of absolutes like always or never, or they introduce details that fall outside the scope of the question. Recognizing these patterns allows quick elimination. For example, if an option claims a single control guarantees security, it is likely incorrect, as no single control does so. Spotting absolutes, scope creep, or technically accurate but irrelevant details prevents traps. These patterns repeat across domains, and familiarity with them turns distractors from obstacles into easy eliminations, sharpening accuracy while conserving time. Elimination sequencing builds on this by creating a systematic approach. Begin by removing factually wrong or out-of-scope answers, then weigh the remaining contenders more carefully. This structure prevents paralysis when multiple options seem plausible. Each elimination improves odds and reduces cognitive load. On test day, sequencing is a discipline you can lean on when certainty feels out of reach. It transforms uncertainty into progress, ensuring that even difficult questions move forward. Over time, this method becomes second nature, protecting pacing and boosting confidence. Time recovery tactics are vital for protecting momentum. If you exceed your time budget on a question, make a strategic guess using elimination and move on. Lingering too long risks starving later items of attention. Guessing when thresholds are exceeded may feel uncomfortable, but it maximizes total score potential. Remember that there is no penalty for guessing, so structured guesses preserve points without derailing pacing. Recovery is not about surrender, but about discipline, choosing action over paralysis, ensuring that knowledge can be expressed across the full exam rather than bottlenecked in isolated struggles. The end of section review is your chance to circle back to flagged items. This workflow should prioritize high uncertainty flags rather than rechecking every question. By focusing on those that cause the most hesitation, you make the most of limited review time. Avoid overanalyzing questions you answered confidently. Second-guessing can do more harm than good. This targeted approach reflects professional triage. Allocate resources to where they matter most. Practicing review workflows before test day ensures calm execution when the clock is nearly done. When the exam ends, you will see a preliminary result, often expressed as pass or fail, with official confirmation following. Scaled scores reflect performance normalized across different exam versions, so do not attempt to equate them directly with raw percentages. A passing scaled score confirms that your performance met the standard, regardless of perceived difficulty. Interpreting results through this lens prevents overanalysis of numbers and reinforces the fairness built into the scoring system. Whether passing or not, viewing the result as data, not judgment, provides the healthiest perspective. If you do not pass, retake planning becomes important. ISC2 imposes cooling-off periods between attempts, increasing with each retry. Understanding this policy allows you to plan remediation without frustration. Retakes are opportunities to refine strategy, guided by error logs and focused remediation. Rather than seeing failure as defeat, view it as part of an iterative process. Many candidates succeed on subsequent attempts because they approach retakes with sharper focus. The key is patience and adaptation, ensuring that time is used wisely between attempts to close performance gaps systematically. Passing the exam is not the final step. To earn the CCSP certification, you must complete the endorsement process through ISC2. This requires verification of professional experience in relevant domains, typically through an endorser who is already certified. Preparing documentation in advance, role descriptions, dates, and responsibilities streamlines this step. The process validates that the certification represents not just theoretical knowledge, but applied professional practice. Treating the endorsement as part of your exam plan ensures smooth transition from passing scores to official certification status. Experience documentation is central to endorsement. You will need to detail positions held, the responsibilities you carried, and the dates of employment. This is similar to building a professional resume, but with emphasis on how roles align with CCSP domains. Preparing this thoroughly avoids delays. It also reinforces your professional narrative, clarifying for yourself how your experiences connect to the body of knowledge the CCSP represents. Documentation becomes both a formal requirement and a reflective exercise, linking your career path with the credential's expectations. Continuing professional education, or CPE, planning begins once certification is granted. To maintain the CCSP, you must earn credits across a 3-year cycle, demonstrating ongoing engagement with the field. These can come from training, conferences, teaching, or publishing. The CPE requirement ensures the credential stays current, reflecting the rapid evolution of cloud technologies. Planning early for CPEs prevents last-minute scrambles and integrates professional development into your career rhythm. This forward-looking step transforms certification from a single achievement into a sustained professional commitment. ISC2 also requires payment of an annual maintenance fee, or AMF, to support the certification program. Budgeting for this fee ensures you remain in good standing without disruption. Though modest compared to the value of the credential, the fee underscores the importance of planning not just for the exam itself, but for ongoing professional upkeep. Treat it as part of your career investment, similar to continuing education or professional memberships. Awareness and planning prevent surprises, reinforcing responsibility and professionalism. Professional branding is a natural next step once certification is earned. Updating your resume, LinkedIn profile, email signature, and internal company profiles signals your achievement to employers, colleagues, and clients. This is not vanity. It is communication of credibility and expertise. Branding helps align your professional identity with the recognition the CCSP brings. It also creates opportunities, as visibility often leads to new roles, projects, or leadership responsibilities. Treating branding as part of post-exam steps ensures that the credential delivers not just personal satisfaction, but tangible career momentum. Finally, the long-term growth plan is where certification value multiplies. The CCSP is not just an endpoint, it is a platform for advancement into cloud security leadership roles. With it, you demonstrate not only technical understanding, but also the governance and risk perspectives that matter to executives. Long-term growth might involve leading cloud security programs, influencing policy, or mentoring others. By planning how you will leverage CCSP knowledge, you transform it into ongoing opportunity. The exam then becomes a springboard, linking preparation and performance with future leadership in a rapidly expanding domain. In summary, success on test day is the product of preparation, logistics, and mindset. Executing calmly, respecting pacing, and managing anxiety ensure that knowledge is expressed effectively. After the exam, structured follow-through endorsement, documentation, CPE planning, and professional branding converts the achievement into certification and career impact. The CCSP becomes more than a credential. It becomes a marker of readiness to lead in cloud security, supported by integrity, discipline, and continuous growth. By approaching both the exam and its aftermath with professionalism, you turn preparation into lasting momentum. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.